Now, oh, I'm sorry. Let me stop briefly and allow people to ask questions. I said I was going to stop, and, well, for one reason or another, I haven't perfected the presentation yet. So feel free to ask me any questions if you'd like. Nan?
So, I'm looking at everything through the global warming lens, and of course, we've kind of trashed the surface of the planet. And from what I gather about how geothermal engineering works is that you basically are using the core heat of the planet to provide energy in the form of heat or electricity or whatever to homes and so forth. And so that's not a renewable source. The planet is only so hot.
Let me ask you a question. Where do you believe the heat from the planet's core comes from?
I don't know. I really don't know. Where does it come from?
There are many theories. Some say from the beginning of the planet when it was first formed. Some people say from solar radiation. Personally, I believe it's the effect of the sun indirectly through induction, heating up the core of the planet through like an induction coil effect. The sun has a significant magnetic field, which we travel around on our orbit on, and as the induction interacts with the core of the planet, which is metal and nickel, iron and nickel, that energy is transferred to the core of the planet, and periodically the planet finds ways of releasing that energy. 99% of the Earth's core, or mass I should say, has a temperature over 1,000 degrees centigrade. For all practical purposes, only a very small portion, pretty much the skin of the planet, is cool enough for us to live on. Many scientists years ago did research on, well, if the heat from the core of the planet started from the beginning of when the Earth was made, that heat would have dissipated after 180 million years. However, we're pretty sure that the planet is billions of years old, so if that was the case, it was left over from when the planet was formed, we would pretty much be a cold planet at this point in time. So the heat has to be coming from somewhere. And if it's the solar radiation, in theory, the surface of the planet should be hotter than the core, because that's where the heat would be coming from. There are many theories about where the heat comes from. Experts have shown, though, even if we tapped a small percentage of the heat that was at a depth of 30,000 feet, we would be able to tap that for 2,000 or 3,000 years and meet all our electricity demands, and still without really affecting the core of the planet itself, just tapping the heat that's at a depth of 30,000 feet, which really gives you an idea of how vast the energy is. It really represents more potential energy than all the fossil fuels combined by a very large magnitude. Any other questions? I'd love to.
30,000 feet is a big number. How far is it to the actual center of the Earth?
8,000 miles, or 4,000 miles.
Okay. So, that's...
The Earth's core in our region is estimated to be around 37 miles thick. So we'd be talking about going in about 7 miles, 6 to 7 miles.
Has anyone ever gone that far into the Earth?
Oil drilling companies have gone down about 35,000 feet in Siberia and different areas.
They're talking about that deep in the ocean.
Yeah. Part of what it is drilling has its limitations with the techniques that they're using right now, in that the deeper you go, it has an exponential increase in cost. In other words, they estimate to go to 5,000 feet to be about $1 million. To go to 30,000 feet using current technology would cost you about $100 million. And that's one of the things that we would like to introduce, is that the cost can be reduced by 80 to 90% if you use a variety of different innovations that are possible.
Yeah, so basically there's a handful of theories, but we don't actually know.
A handful of what?
Theories. about,
Where the energy comes from?
yeah, about why the Earth's core is hot and how it
Mhm.
maintains itself and so on.
This is
But-
true.
We don't really know. And, you know, just looking around our solar system, this is the only planet with life.
True.
It's a kind of precious commodity.
By all means.
And I don't know how hot the other planets are, like in their core. Like, are they hot? They're exposed to the sun too.
I think research shows that most planets are cold planets. There are a few with close orbits to certain planets that show that they have, I believe it was Titan, showed them to have a hot core and create a potential atmosphere from that. But it is a limited number of planets that have that particular aspect that we're talking about.
So not to be too abstract about it, I just noticed that it's not part of the conversation to look at how we use energy and whether we can cut back or whether we can radically transform the way we use energy. From what I gather so far, your proposal is about supporting our lifestyle the way it's currently funded with energy.
Yeah, what I'm proposing is a lifestyle that doesn't digress. In other words, if we were to cut back on our energy consumption, a lot of the things that we've become accustomed to, you know, an abundance of food and resources, we'd have to also reduce. In other words, low-cost energy is really what made possible the industrial era, and populations be able to support beyond 30 million to 300 million. There are a lot of people in government are concerned that if we didn't have low-cost energy like oil, we wouldn't be able to support the population we have now. And that's why there's a good possibility you see a lot of the intrigue going around, revolving around oil and low-cost energy.
So you could say low-cost energy is part of the reason the planet's in trouble right now.
Yes, that's part of the reason, but it's also the misuse of low-cost energy that has created many of the problems we're looking at now. I mean, if better energy sources were developed, we could still enjoy the same benefits from low-cost energy without damaging the environment so much. And that's what one of the qualities that we think geothermal offers is far less environmental impact.
Though I understand it takes electricity to run the whole machinery.
That's
Like
a heat
you have
pump.
to have a pump, yeah.
For a heat pump, which is a small-scale geothermal, it only is used for residential applications, and when you're taking heat